Hello, I hope you're all well. As promised, here is the phase 2 video that will exemplify the sorts of things I would do in those early stages of phase 2 teaching. Hopefully it will exemplify for you how you can incorporate phase 1 skills and strategies into your phase 2 lessons and also beyond your phase 2 teaching. It's really important that we all understand that the early stages of phase 2 are very different to what you would expect when you're further along in your journey. Sample lessons won't exemplify the rigour that I would expect when you are teaching your phonics sessions, because I wanted to explain why I'm doing what I'm doing so you can understand the reason behind the strategies and ideas that I'm sharing with you. As ever, I just want to say that if you do find my training useful and you would like some bespoke training created for your school, please email me, thephonicsqueen@gmail.com, and I'd love to get involved in training your staff so that you have a consistent approach and you are passionate in your teaching of phonics. So let's have a look at those sessions that are in the sort of first week when you're first introducing those phonemes to the children, and they aren't at the stage yet where they can really apply it to reading very well. So let's think first of all about the skill of oral blending, because if they can't orally blend, then they're not going to be able to read anyway. Now, my little tip here is to not think that you have to start with short little words to rehearse the blending skill. Now, you can start with the blending of syllables rather than phonemes, because the skill is essentially the same. They're having to put an individual chunk together to make a whole word. So sometimes some children find it easier to blend syllables instead of phonemes. So you might say words like holiday, wigwam, Manchester. So you can start big so that the skill of blending becomes something that they are able to do. Once they're able to do those longer words, then you can then shrink it a little bit. So you might have rain, rain. So now you're thinking about the individual phonemes, but children usually find it easier to blend the longer words because they have that chunk to hold on to. So don't always think that starting small is the best. Okay, so then because you're going to be doing so much oral blending practice, you can sneak in other learning opportunities. So you might make it cross-curricular. So here we've got prepositions with a ball in different positions around the box. So for example, you might say something like, the ball is on the box. The ball is on the box. The ball is on the box. The ball is in the box. The ball is in the box. And can they point to the right box? So you can see there how you've linked prepositions to that blending skill, and therefore the children are getting lots of boxes ticked and lots of experiences in different ways. Another way you can practice blending is also incorporating the teaching of new vocabulary, which is something I love to do. And I really believe that vocab and articulation should be just as important in phase 1 as all of those old phase 1 letters and sound skills. So for me, vocab is very much a part of phase 1 and laying those quality foundations for phonics. So here I'm going to teach the children 2 new words. The first word has an image to help the children remember what it is. And the word is delicious. And delicious means when something is yummy and it tastes so good. And then the other word we're going to do is revolting. And that's the action at the bottom. When something is revolting, it does not taste good and we would not like to eat it. So then the children will say the words delicious, revolting. And then when we come to play the game with these actions and these new words, we are confronted with 4 different choices. And then I'm going to say a sentence and I'm going to make sure I segment the words that match these pictures. So instead of sock, I'm going to say sock. And this is what I'm going to do for the children. I would like to eat the sock. And then if they can blend that because it's within a context and there's no pressure because they're actually thinking about whether it's delicious or revolting, then the children will do the action. So I can eat the sock. Oh, revolting. Nobody wants to eat a smelly sock. Okay, let's do another one. I can eat the cake. I can eat the cake. And the children will say, delicious. Now, two things here. Because the game, the words are within a context, they find that easier for blending. And also, as I said, because the pressure is off them and they're not thinking about just this blending skill that they need to master, they're more thinking about the funny words of whether it's delicious or revolting. That takes the pressure off the children. So another way to introduce the blending skill and rehearse it. Okay, so now we're going to have a look at the brand new phoneme, our very first phoneme. And I would introduce my resources that we are going to use both in my teaching and that are accessible in the continuous provision and around the classroom. So all of these sounds are introduced in this order so that the children get a feeling of success as they go along. So the first one we're going to look at today is this very first box. It's really exciting for the children. So we are going to have a look at this shape here. Now this shape is called an S and it makes the sound S. It makes the sound S, like in the word sun. And when we see this grapheme here and we make the phoneme S, we're going to do this action. Oh, I've gone too far. S, as in sun. S, as in sun. And the children will do that with you. Then I would introduce the letter formation rhyme that you're using to teach the children how to form their letters. This is not to expect the children to do it too. This is to inspire and excite and embed that letter formation rhyme for when they are ready to write it themselves. So here we use sun starts high, then starts to fade, then lies down in the shade. And the children will learn that with you because every time you write it, you're going to say that little rhyme. Now we're going to have a look at some of these pictures, and some of these pictures start with a S phoneme and some of them don't, and I'm trying to trick you. So you need to listen really carefully to these words and see if you can do this action every time you hear a word that has a S phoneme at the beginning. So the first one is sausage, sausage, and you should have the children saying S at you, hopefully. Next one is going to be sandals, sandals, and the children show you that sound because they can hear sandals at the start. The next one is cow, cow, and hopefully you won't have any children showing you that sound because they can hear that there isn't a S in the word cow, and so on. Okay, so now we're going to think about the rhyming part in phase one because we can't read any words at the moment because we've only got one phoneme. So we're going to have a look back at those phase one skills again. And rhyming is a skill that we need throughout our literary journey, and we're going to use it for spelling and all kinds of things. So rhyming is something that we need to not just forget once the children have started doing their phase two phonemes. Okay, so this might be a really simple bingo game where they all have a bingo board, whatever you want to do. But this is where you will say things like, I can see locks, locks. And then you can segment it, but blend it for them. So you're modeling how to blend. I can see locks, locks. And the children say, socks, I can see socks. I can see a head, head rhymes with head. I can see a head. Bed, I can see a bed too. I can see some legs, legs. I can, oh, I said the word there, rubbish. Anyway, it's been a long day. So you get the idea of the rhyming words. So you say the rhyme and they have to find the picture that rhymes with it. Okie dokie. So within that first sort of session, those first few sessions, you're going to be predominantly working on blending skills, but in lots of different ways, because you don't want it to just become too samey. So you can introduce cross-curricular links, you can introduce games, you can introduce vocabulary, new words, you can introduce it through rhyming, you can do lots and lots of different blending practice. Then once this is an example of where I'd be by the time the children are sort of at lesson 7 and they've got 6 phonemes under their belt and you're introducing the 7th one. Again, we're still thinking about blending skills. Another tip I have for blending is that you also could give the children words within a context, and this will help those children who are struggling to blend. So we thought about syllables, blending those as an aid to help children, but also putting it in a context will also help. So for example, you might have a prop basket in the middle with some objects in there. So I've got a spoon, an umbrella and a phone. And my basket is just there to show you can put them in the basket. And then you are going to say a sentence. Now, this is obviously not for the children to read. This is for you to say. And I'm just showing you here so you know what I'm saying. So then I would say the sentence, it is wet in the rain. Which one of those objects would match my sentence? It is wet in the rain. So hopefully then the children are able to blend the words wet and rain and identify that the object you're thinking about is an umbrella. But then you want them to actually explain that too, because articulation and pronunciation is vital for phonics. If they can't say it, they won't be able to read it and write it. So get them to explain why choose that word. Well, I chose that. I think it's umbrella because when it's wet and raining, we use the umbrella to protect ourselves from the rain and stop us from getting wet. So that's what you'd expect the children to be able to articulate to you. Here's another one. I want to talk to e. I want to talk to e. So then they'll be like, do we use a spoon to talk to mummy? No, we don't. We use a phone. So again, that's a really simple way to practice blending, but also get a little bit of that articulation practice in there as well. So I hear lots of people saying we don't need to do rhyming anymore. They can give me loads of rhyming strings, bed, head, bed, ked, lead, red. But actually, we can challenge it further. We can differentiate it. We can make it more challenging for the children. So we're still going to be rehearsing those rhyming skills right the way through the journey. So I might show the children 3 images, and then I might say the sentence, I feel cad with my beddy. Which one does that link to? I feel cad with my beddy, and maybe with my beddy might be a bit too challenging to begin with. So you might just say, I feel cad. Can they hear what rhymes? Which one would that match with? I feel cad. Oh, that sounds like I feel sad. So I think it's that little girl. And then I feel cad with my beddy. I feel sad with my teddy. That's really challenging, and children are going to have to really tune in and listen carefully and have brilliant rhyming skills to be able to do that. So don't think because they can continue a rhyming string that their rhyming journey is over. You can think of lots of different ways to challenge and extend their thinking. So let's have another one. Oops, let's go back. Come and slay with the wall. Come and slay with the wall. Did you get it? That's right. Come and play with the ball. So if there's a particular phoneme in your class that lots of your children, or even just 1 or 2, struggle to articulate, include that in your early phonics sessions. Use that as an opportunity to get the children practicing how to articulate those difficult sounds. So for example, if you have children who pronounce t as k, so they say tat instead of cat, then the phoneme is something they need to practice articulating. So you'll show them some images, and maybe they could come up with words themselves: tiger, toes, tickle, tap, or you can make it more challenging by giving them a little phrase to say, tickle my toes, toothy tiger. Give the children opportunity to practice enunciating and pronouncing those difficult phonemes that may hold them back further down the line. So now we're going to have a look at our phoneme chart again, and we know 6 phonemes at the moment, and we're just going to have a quick recap of them. We've got S as in sun, A as in ant, T as in tap, P as in panda, I as in igloo, N as in net. Fantastic. Now let's see if you can hear any of these phonemes in the words we're going to be looking at. At this point, you would want every child to have a phoneme chart. And when they hear the initial sounds in these words, they tap the chart. So they're showing you that they recognize the grapheme that matches the phoneme that they can hear. So if I said the word apple, apple, can they hear the A at the beginning and then able to tap the A as in ant? So that's just a really simple way for you to see if they can start to hear those initial sounds within words, which is a really crucial skill. Now we're going to learn the new phoneme today, and the new phoneme, they'll be able to point to it because they're following along and they've got onto the idea now that they go in their progression. This phoneme makes the sound and here is the grapheme here for the phoneme So I'm going to show you how we write it. Again, this is not for the children to have a go at yet. This is purely to inspire the children to want to have a go and to embed those letter formation rhymes. Mouse scurries down the slide, up and over, down the slide, up and over, down the slide. And you can model that for the children as you introduce each phoneme. So the action for is this, because mice scurry around all over the place really fast and their little legs move quickly. So we'll do as in mouse, as in mouse. Okay, so now we're going to think about introducing the blending skills whilst looking at graphemes. And at this stage, it's very much going to be about you modelling this for the children, inspiring the children to want to have a go. So if we have a look at at Matt, brilliant. At map. Tim, and some children will be doing that with you at this point, and others will just be watching and taking it and absorbing all of that. So the final thing you want to inspire them to do is to model writing inspiration, and you can do that through characters and toys and things like that. So for example, I might look at this little character and say this little character is called Poppy, and Poppy really likes pink. Oh, they all start with P. So then I model Panda is tired, goes down to peep, comes back up and goes round to sleep. Poppy likes pink. So we're modelling here how to link things that we're talking about and things that we're explaining to people with the communication of writing it down on paper or on a whiteboard. So this is Indy, and Indy lives in an igloo. Indy lives in an igloo, and that starts with I. Sit down in an igloo, don't forget the dot. And you're modelling that for the children. Once you've modelled what the purpose of writing is all about, they will go into their continuous provision, into their play, and they will start applying their writing skills to what they're doing. Now, at the beginning, it might be mark making, it might be circles and dashes, it could be anything, but eventually they will begin to form those letters because they are hearing the rhyme with you modelling it for them. And the most important thing is there's no pressure. We're not forcing the children to have a go before they are ready. So at the beginning, at this early stage, it's all about inspiring the children to have a go. And of course, we have to have lots of listening games with the children in this early stage. Now, I wouldn't incorporate all of what I've just done within one session, but I just wanted to show you 2 examples of listening games that are crucial for children. So for example, you might, the noisy neighbour game, where you get the children to close their eyes and listen to what that noisy neighbour is doing. But I'm going to give you an example here. So the children listen carefully to those environmental sounds. What can you hear, children? What do you think it is? And the children might guess that someone's knocking on the door or tapping the table. And then eventually you will show the children, oh, it's a stapler. And some might get that because they might have experienced the stapler in the writing area, for example. So that's a stapler making a click-clacking sound. Right, what can you hear now, children? I'm going to hide for this one. Oh, I'm slurping my drink. How rude. That's not very polite, is it, slurping it like that? But you've got some really good words in there, slurping and click-clacking. So that's a really simple listening game, and you can extend that further for children who are more able and articulate to do so. So here, for example, we know now that I've got a mug and I've got a stapler on my desk. But they are going to develop this further. You're not going to look at them and you're going to listen really carefully. Which one am I tapping with my pen? So they might hear the first one had a pinging sound. Maybe it was hollow because they know the cup is empty. What sound could they hear here? Oh, could they hear the spring boinging as I tapped the stapler? So the children here need to use their articulation skills to not only choose which one, they need to explain and reason as to why they've chosen that particular object. Hopefully you found that video really useful and you are able to identify lots of the strategies that you can use to not only incorporate phase one throughout your phonics teaching, but also how you can differentiate it to challenge and extend the thinking of those more able children, and also to support those children who may find skills like blending more difficult. I do offer lots of training, and if you are interested in attending one of my training sessions, then please email me, thephonicsqueen@gmail.com. I've got a Key Stage 2 phonics and spelling training session coming up on the 11th of November. I've also going to be releasing dates for a phase one training session, which lots of you have been asking for. I will release that date on Friday. So there's lots still to come on the Phonics Queen, and I hope you continue to support me by sharing my page and sharing my passion. Have a lovely evening, and I see some of you very soon. Bye.